Morning and welcome to our next video. This is the long promised and long awaited Chaos versus Vampires match, which is the third place playoff for our top fours sort of playoffs. We had the knockouts with top and bottom four in from our round robin league. So this is my Chaos team who finished third. This is how they're doing. They're alright. We're going to have the usual sort of fly through the teams as well. And yeah, once they're on the pitch. And this is so my brother's vampire team, who yeah, are doing all right. Some tough-looking vampires in there to watch out for. One with tackle. A couple of them have block and dodge, which is tough to deal with. There's a steel one, which is sort of could be the beginnings of a nice catcher build if you're sort of being opportunistic with a double. But yeah, a lot of injured rules, so down to 11 players for this match. And yeah, so this vampire coach is the only other player from this league who had some sort of previous experience of coaching playing Blood Bowl. And yeah, so the two of us finished third and fourth in our round robin. Both lost our semi-finals and now playing off for the bronze medal. And let's skip all the introduction. Get ourselves up to the kickoff. James will be pleased to know I'll have a coffee ready. I don't want to disappoint. Okay, so we've skipped forward a bit. Yeah, kick was quite a short one. I think we just had a weather change, which was still nice. Kick landed there, and the line of scrimmage is proceeded to be taken apart. To let this block resolve, and then we'll have a look at the teams because we've skipped doing that. So my Chaos team here, defending. I lost the toss in there, and yeah, the Vampire coach chose to attack the first one. So I've got my Wrestle Beastman down here, Wrestle and Diving Tackle here, so ready to sweep back and mark someone who is a scoring threat. Block Beastman here, block and dodge on this one, and then we've got, it's getting a bit difficult to see at this angle, go off a bit, sort of unlevelled Beastman there, unlevelled warriors on the corners there. Having strength 4 players on the corners of this formation makes it really difficult to get a 2 dice block on them. You have to start taking other people out or have a guard to get an assist down. Line of scrimmage was an unlevelled Beastman who's had an agility penalty. 2 block Chaos Warriors have both gone down. Look at the Vampires. There's only one thrall with a level, which is this block one here. Got a block Vampire here, block and Nerves of Steel one there, block and dodge in there, and block, dodge and tackle up back there. No bench for the Vampires, as I said. Had I think it was 3 thralls out missing the game. So their big squad is reduced somewhat. Bit of a gratuitous pass there, but got away with it with the reroll, and got a star player point out of it. But had to have to use an early reroll where perhaps might not have needed to. And now just protecting this player in here. Going in for an early foul and grabs a knockout from it. Yeah, I'm putting another scoring threat down there. Means I have to think about both wings still. Right, so I need to look at holding this cage up or trying to prevent vampires just making a mess of whoever I put there as well. Also, I have to watch this thrall. I know this coach likes to pass the ball about a bit, so this thrall is definitely a threat, even though it could be a risky move. You know, there's not an easy pass on, but he has to be watched. So I'm going to look at putting my diving tackler over on this guy just to mark him, and if he tries to dodge away, I should be able to bring him down. And then I can really focus my efforts on where most of his players are and where the ball is. So that's just how I'm looking to line up in this term. Pick my players up that I can, and then make any actions that don't involve dice first. So get that diving tackler in. Yeah, and then just make sure I've got players who are going to be far enough back to react to anyone breaking through. Yeah, and this was a bit stupid. I got probably my best player, that block dodge beastman, taken down by a dodge. It was sort of realised I'd made a bit of a mistake by chucking him in there, messed up the block and only got a push back. And I thought, he's got dodge, I'll get him out and put him somewhere more useful. Rolled a 2 and a 1. It's going to happen, but there are definitely more. I should have seen that I was going to be having to take that risk and made other actions first. I think I had a 2 dice block over here, which I didn't take. Now we've got vampires who can just make a mess of my defenders and make space to get the ball in. I'm quite happy to have my Wrestle Beastman take this guy on alone. If he'd managed 1 square further forward, that would have made it more difficult for me. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it would have forced to go for it. So I fouled Bloodlust there. That vampire was trying to get in, I think, this square, which would have blocked off my chances of, or made it really difficult at least to get at the ball carrier. But yeah, foul Bloodlust meant he had to come this way and bite on a thrall instead. Didn't want to take this one down, so sort of had to leave that minimal protection. But does mark him, so good use of a couple of go for it's to make to force me to have to dodge there if I want to blitz this guy. So I made some moves to make sure I can get a 2 dice block later, so I'm looking over there. And this is the important one, had to dodge as well. Wanted to make sure I could do that when I still had a reroll. But yeah, use a reroll to take the ball carrier down. And just a stun there. Push him away. So now the play's got on, which I'm pretty sure is exactly what happens actually. 2 plus dodge, 2 plus pickup, 2 plus bloodlust as well, of course. 2 plus throw, 3 plus catch from this thrall, who can then run it in. Pretty sure that's what we see happen. Yeah, found the interception, and yeah, that thrall can just run it home. I think he looked at trying to stall down here, which is why there's a bit of pause in that movement. Counting squares for my beastmen over on my left, his right. And yeah, decided to just take the touchdown. Which isn't so bad for me. It's early enough for that to not be too much of a problem, because I can now look at trying for the 2-1 win. Because I've got time to score this half with 5 turns. Something I've pointed out before, the way this coach sets up on defence here, we're just loading up. It's a really aggressive way to set up. It makes it really difficult for me to get 2 dice blocks, but there are a couple of drawbacks. One is there are more players I can block, so all of these could be up for being hit. I'm down to Curse Warrior. So my blocking game's not going to be as impressive as it might usually be. But I think I do line up all here, and I'm looking at targeting the thralls because I know I can get 2 dice on all of them. Or each time I'm blocking the thrall, it should be 2 dice. The other thing is, in the event of a blitz, put in this many players on here, put some in tackle zones, and then when a blitz rolls, oh, there is a blitz in this game where this point becomes very valid. I think it's probably the second half kickoff. But basically, when a blitz rolls, he's now only got 4 players who can act. And this happens later in the game because all the players along here are marked. If you just put in the 3 players here, who you're happy to just take the hits for a turn, you've then got 4 more players who can act as well, and you can do a lot more with a blitz result. It also means there are going to be less players getting hit. If you're just leaving the minimum 3 on the line of scrimmage, it's a maximum of 4 players that can get punched in that first turn. And yeah, it just gives you quite a bit more space. But you know, I'm happy to look very silly by misremembering which kickoff the blitz came in. But it does spoil the surprise later on. So like I said, just targeting thralls, using my block Chaos Warriors first, or I only had one on pitch, so that one first. Then going for the other guys. I had a touchback, so I'd usually use the block players to make the blocks, then pick up the ball to make sure I can try and do it when I've still got a reroll, or to give me more chance of that. Had a couple of block beastmen on the line as well to try and throw those initial blocks as well. Now I can move the ball forwards. Could maybe have done that first, but I wanted to see which players I could knock over. Because if all these stayed standing up, I'd probably head towards a wing rather than straight up the middle. But as there were so many players in the middle here, and I managed to knock 4 of them over, that makes it the weak spot of the opponent's line, rather than where you might usually try and crush a wing and move through that way. And perfect reroll. Skull to a defender down. Unfortunately, need to do wrestle there. Use wrestle there. So, I got a bit carried away with some 1 dice blocks in this game. Threw a lot more than I usually would. And yeah, that left him laying on the floor for a turn. So it doesn't get the benefit of his diving tackles. Not that anyone's trying to dodge away from him at the moment, but if anyone tries to come through here, they're not going to get that benefit. For that wrestle, unless you're going after the ball carrier, wrestle's often more valuable in your opponent's turn than your own turn. So I'm looking to just sort of still try and bully my way through here a bit. I've spotted a gap here that I can cage in, and that is where I'm looking to go. So I've got the ball in there, and I can do the classic sort of 4-person cage around each corner. I know I want to blitz from this square, so I'm going to leave the player in there who does it, I think. Or no, put that warrior there, and then blitz from here, I think. Yeah, and if I can put that vampire down, that leaves one less dangerous player in contact with my cage. Get a stun as well, which is perfect. Well, yeah, dead is perfect, but stun means I can move away from him next turn, and I'll be looking at moving the ball around this way. When you cage like this, you ideally don't want anybody who can just throw a block at any of these corner players. So that was my idea of getting that player down. So if they want to have a go at any of these cage corners, they have to use their blitz there, and that means they don't have a blitz available to go after the ball. Both down. I chose not to wrestle because this vampire didn't have block, and that caused a turnover. So yeah, wrestle. Well, I didn't use wrestle, but yeah, choosing not to use it meant I could let that be a turnover. If I'd just taken them down, he'd have had more actions he could have taken. So yeah, I usually like blocking with my beastmen for that strength bonus. But sorry, blitzing with my beastmen. But the Chaos Warrior was best placed for it that time, and it means I've got more mobility from the beastmen to get them through. Got the wall pretty well protected now down here, and I'm caging a lot tighter than I was last time I played this vampire team. So I got caught out with the vampires being able to make some sort of really difficult dodges in and get at my ball carrier and bring them down. So deliberately choosing to cage a bit tighter. Just going for a hypnotic gaze, but being failing that. And then going for it again, so maybe this thrall can come through. I think that was the idea. But Bloodlust failed again. Okay, so that's thrall going for there. Could have made a more difficult dodge there. Could have gone there on a 3+ dodge and then in to make the blitz, but took a 4+ dodge, which it was okay, but would have been easier to dodge out to the empty square and then come back in. Had enough movement to do it. So I'll take out assists there because this guy has to go, and I want to block him from this square, so if I only get a push he's going away from the ball carrier. And I do only get a push, so if I'd gone from there and got a push, my ball carrier is still marked and I'm needing to make other blocks. And had to make a go for it there, but I wanted to get the touchdown scored. And this was turn 8. Pretty sure, yeah, it was my turn 8. I was just thinking, did I have the chance to wait a turn, but I didn't. It was I had to score then. I wanted to get on with it as well. I think I still had a re-roll. That warrior finally back. That's the one who's failed in like turn 1, I think. So I didn't come back after the vampire's touchdown. That was turn 7. So I could potentially have waited a turn, but I didn't want to risk it. I had to make sure I scored in the first half, so then I could receive the ball second half, and be sort of expected to score. Actually, I'm pretty sure at this point we can just skip to the second half. I don't think anything happens here. Let's skip ahead. Okay, second half. Are we setting up? Okay, yeah, so vampires are set up in defence like this. They're down on players here. There's a knockout who hasn't come back. So down to 10 means they've sort of left a gap in there where that thrall would have been. This is where we get the blitz come up, and like I said before, they have the problem where, because they've got so many players along here who are all in tackle zones, it's only 4 players who can act. Kick short as well, so it's going to be a touchback, so it's not like they can try and go and stand under the ball to get a catch. They know one of my players is going to be holding it. So all they've really got on is blitzing one of these beastmen with a vampire and moving the other 3 players, which they can try and do to sort of get in my face. But I think all that actually achieved is leaving me serfs on, which I think I took on both sides here. Failed hypnotic gaze. Bit of a habit of, and actually I don't know if the vampire coach knows this or not, but hypnotic gaze is an agility roll, and it's -1 for each other tackle zone on the ball, and he quite often is trying to do it from more than one tackle zone. And that ends your movement, so he's probably thinking, equally likely to be thinking about where he wants the vampire to be stood for the next turn. But if it's more important to get the tackle zone down, Hypnotic Gaze is going to be a 3+ roll if you're not in any secondary tackle zones. So short kick. I'm going to be holding the ball, give it to this guy because I want him to score. I've got no one else in sort of range of levelling up. The scorer in the first turn is over here, so he'd scored a touchdown in a previous game, went up to 6 points. No point in him being on the pitch any longer. Might as well protect him, make sure he levels up, and give someone else a chance to score some points, get to that first level. So I'm moving the ball up, and I'm looking at pushing there and push it off, and pushing there and push it off. I probably have to use my blitz on that one to get, and that's just to get to 1 dice. Although actually, I've got an assist for 1 dice there, which I don't have here. No, I have an assist for 1 dice here because we've got an assist each. But yeah, that's what I'm looking to do. So I'm looking to use my block players to block first because it's safest. And then I know I've got some 1 dice blocks to try and throw to get to push players off the flanks. They're already down to now 9 players. So that's a second knockout. And yeah, this was a bit of a like we've seen some games in this series before, and in my Nurgle series as well, where it becomes a real struggle to play, being short on players, and that's kind of what happens to the vampires in this drive now. Already down to 9, which means they're outnumbered by 2, but I get a push to the touchline there, and another one as well. Use a reroll, but yeah, get that vampire off the pitch. No injury, but it's another player down. That's now down to 8 players, and I can do the same over here with this thrall as well. Don't need to follow up there. He wouldn't get an assist anyway. So I had to make 4 1 dice blocks, but it removed 2 players from the drive, which is great. And no injuries. They're coming back on next kickoff. But that puts them down to 7 players when I'm attacking them. They got 1 stunned here. And that's now going to be a really tall order to try and defend. Okay, that was a failed dodge to end the turn over here. So I will look at, I think I want to take the ball this way, because I can knock this guy over, which I do. I've got my diving tackler, it's down to 6 players, another knockout. I want my diving tackler to watch this vampire, because he's the biggest threat to me on this side. And then I can just be moving the ball around here. I've got potentially another player I can free up if I knock that vampire over as well. But crucially, if I do, I want him to be in this Beastman's tackle zone, so that if he goes chasing the ball, he has a really difficult dodge to make. Yeah, that's where I knock him over. So I've just got this guy here. Go over here. I've got this player who can screen, and there are 3 other players actually as well who are all free to move. And I think I add them to my screen as well. So vampires are down to 6 players. It looks like less than 6 players now. And I've just realised I've still got those icons on that get in the way. Been like that the whole first half, and I didn't notice. Right, so yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and only one of them's on their feet. Yeah, so this is a tough defence for the vampires. It's a tall order to try and ask them to stop me scoring at this point. Slight sportsmanship note, I did point out this Beastman having diving catch, which may have made him reconsider what he was going to do, but I wanted that to be his decision and not something he missed because he didn't look at that icon and know what he meant. Another stun, self-inflicted stun from a go for it. just trying to mark up players, I think, to limit where my screen can move. But the ball carrier's not marked, so I can still chuck him forwards. So push there. I'll mark up my ball carrier. Should probably have moved the ball first rather than forcing myself to then forcing myself to have to make these blocks first. And I'm only getting pushes. I want this guy to be able to move, so I need to use my blitz here, but then finally get him down. So four players actions to get him out, but does get an injury. So that's down to 5 players in the vampire team. Because he was so low on players anyway. Use the apothecary there to make sure he's going to get a player back, and that's his block thrall as well. So he's of some more use than some of the others. But yeah, I had to take 4 players actions to get rid of that thrall. It means I had a lot of players who couldn't move with the ball here. All I've left him on is I think I'll go for that one, because I had 2 dice. I only had 1 dice on the other one, I think. No, I did have 2 dice on the other one, but he was marked by my diving tackler, so it's less dangerous. But yeah, one of those 1 dice blocks I shouldn't have made in this game. There were quite a few of those. So the only thing, and he did look at this for a little while, but the vampire coach here does have, this vampire can attempt to blitz, but you're looking at dodging there and there and there for 3, 4, 5, 6, go for it, and he's got 2 dice. But he's got to dodge around a player with diving tackle to do that 3 times. So where this would normally be 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus to dodge, it becomes 6, 5, 4 as the minimum numbers he needs. I'd say diving tackle's a nice, useful skill, but you've got to use the player carefully and make sure they're going where you need them. And yeah, I identified that I could effectively nullify this vampire by just sticking this player on him, and it made this swing the choice of where I attacked. So all he has on is a really, really risky move, which I think he was saving for the end, but rolled double skull twice there before attempting it, before getting a chance to. I think he was eyeing it up. He was looking at the path, but yeah, decided to do some safer actions first. But 2 double skulls, quadruple skulls. Let's get quad skulls trending. Double skulls for me as well though, and I'm out of rerolls. It means I haven't advanced the ball this turn, and this player has a chance to come in and make a 1 dice blitz. So takes that straight away. Skull. And then just a push. So would have been, ideally should really be standing these players up first. Although any action with a vampire is potentially a turnover because of bloodlust, but standing them up's got to be safer than making a 1 dice block. And yeah, I'm just trying to make sure I can clear this guy off. With a vampire right here who can basically do anything, I can't try and stall here, and I don't like it to do it anyway, as I've said. With the amount I'm outnumbering the vampires, I should feel confident enough in defending against them for another 4 turns. So I just run the touchdown in. Give you a bit of Orc cheerleader. I know you all love it. So still 3 knocked out players for the vampires. Yeah, losing down for 6, 7, 8 players. And I've still got 11 available. In fact, I've still got 14 available. So yeah, big disparity in injuries in this game. Vampires have got 4 turns to try and score, which they're capable of doing because vampires are amazing players and are tough to deal with. But I go and roll myself a blitz now, and the difference here, you can see, I've only got 3 players who can't act, which leaves me with 8 players who can. So that's 8 free actions. And with the ball landing this deep, I've got time to go and put pressure on it as well, because this thrall's got to scamper backwards, then he's got to come forwards again, then he's probably throw it to someone. If I can go get pressure on him, I could sort of smell another touchdown at this point. So try and take down that end player. Probably should have moved some players before I did that. That would have definitely been a safer move, because double skulls there would have just ended my blitz. But I identified the player who just scored here, and if he scores again, he's going to level up again. And that's 2 beastmen leveling up in the game, which is brilliant development. This guy to go put a blitz in. I think, is he a wrestle one? No, he's just he's the one who caused the casualty earlier. So I'd ideally want a block player coming forwards. Wrestle, that's that wrestle diving tackle guy. No, just a wrestle guy back. In case, I think my diving tackle is over here to try and limit what this vampire can do. And yeah, ball stays on the pitch, which is great, because there was a chance of a touchback, which would have made it easier on the vampires. Just goes to guard the ball rather than picking it up. I mean, picking it up's obviously more risky. My agility 2 punching bag knocked out again. I think that's happened to him a lot. Yeah, I was going to bite that thrall, but taking a attacker down on the block meant couldn't do that and left the pitch. So turnover anyway. But now I've got, so I can go get pressure on the ball here by, I think he was in range of a blitz this turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then that. So 2 go for it. So he can blitz this guy, get him off the ball. And I want this one to score, so that's what I'm looking at doing. And then just trying to limit what all the players here can do, because the more vampires can get back, the less chance I've got of scoring. So if this is my only threat, I feel quite happy I can score. Got to pick up the ball, of course, which is another obstacle in itself. So moving forwards to make sure he's in range, so he can score next turn. Still got diving tackle guy on here. Just to push back, but keep that diving tackler on him. Means he needs to roll at least 4s to dodge. And now make that blocks that, because with 2 go for it's so risky. I wanted to leave it till last. But yeah, I can get him down there. Pin him against the touchline to make it difficult for him to move anywhere. And the vampire coach did do something a bit weird in this turn. Which I'll have a look at. I still don't fully understand. He was sort of trying to explain what he was doing. So there's a self-inflicted injury on that thrall. So he uses his blitz here, which is great, and that has to use a reroll, but works out perfectly. And then picks up the ball, and he fails a go for it roll here, but he's trying to stand there, and I didn't fully know why. I think he wanted to move this guy to come stand here and make it really hard for him to move anywhere, and he needed that second player. And it would also mean that when I blitz and use horns, it's only going to be 1 dice. I think that was what he was after, but he has to go for it twice to get there and falls over. And I had to use his reroll on the blitz, so he hasn't got that available. So now a player who can score is free to just do that without having to make any blocks or anything. So I think if what he was trying to do had come off, it yeah, it would have worked out quite nicely with moving this thrall back as well. So maybe you've moved that thrall first though, in that case. Yeah, or maybe just chuck it. Oh, you wouldn't have been able to throw the ball, of course, because you made a blitz. But it would have been safer in a player's hands than on the floor, of course. And I think, yeah, it's the danger of having to rely on a go for it to get what you want, because you can't rely on a go for it. Always going to fail you when you least want it. I'm making quite a lot of blocks here that I don't really need to make when... I mean, I've got no rerolls anyway, but I'm risking a turnover with every one of these. But I failed the pickup, so one more chance to score. But he'll be able to at least stand a player up and put a tackle zone on the ball, which gives me another thing to deal with. So this guy's freed up. Come blitz here. But gets a skull. That one does. And yeah, the only two actions I really want to make here. Knock this guy out of the way, pick up the ball with this guy, and he's got enough movement to pick it up there and then run it in. Which he does, so yeah, 3-1 final score. And yeah, and that's another level. So 2 beastmen leveled up, to block on one, wrestle on another. Which are, yeah, nice safe skills and solid skills, and it's just, yeah, making my team better. So I'm quite pleased with how this team are coming together. No mutations yet at all, but I am going to start looking at those at some point. And yeah, really nothing much happens in this last term, so we can kind of play it out here. So that kind of concludes that whole season really of that we were looking at. One of the undead coaches has had to drop out. They just don't have time to play more Blood Bowl at the moment, and they were due to play the other like third place playoff against the Nurgle team in this league, but they've basically had to forfeit that game. So there's going to be probably one more match to look at where we make sure the Nurgle team gets a 9th game. Don't know who that's going to be against yet, but we're going to sort of work that out. I might try and give them a halfling team to play against or something, which might be quite fun. And yeah, just make sure that team have got the chance to play that 9th game and have done the same amount of levelling up as everyone else. I'd like to then have a quick look at how the teams have developed over those 9 games. Maybe see if there are any pointers, sort of team development sort of pointers we can give, and yeah, comment on those. But that's probably, I don't know if we'll have the Nurgle game in. Although it might be fun to do, especially if they're playing halflings or something. It might be fun to try that. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But there'll be more from these teams in the future, and we'll come back and have a look at them. I think we're aiming to do a second season at some point later in the year. Yeah, we'll be back then. We kind of let this play out, I think. But yeah, we'll be off now. I have to start work any minute, so I'm gonna have to stop recording quite shortly. And we'll see you next time.